Have you ever stared out a window and wondered whether the future is already waiting somewhere like a wrapped present hiding behind tomorrow, or whether it is still floating around as a bunch of maybes that have not decided what they want to be yet? When people talk about the future, they often imagine it as a place you are heading toward, even though no one has ever packed a suitcase, bought a ticket, and actually visited next Tuesday. This makes philosophers, scientists, and curious kids ask a sneaky question, which sounds simple, but feels enormous, about whether the future already exists or whether it only pops into being when time reaches it. Some thinkers believe the future is already real, like pages in a giant book that are written but not yet read, even though your bookmark is still stuck on today. In this view, every tomorrow, every choice, and every surprise already exists somewhere in the universe, patiently waiting for you to turn the page and say, "Oh wow, so that's what happens." Other thinkers strongly disagree, because they feel that if the future already existed, your choices would be like pretend buttons that do not really do anything important. They argue that the future is more like a blank notebook, where each decision you make adds new words, doodles, and sometimes messy scribbles that were not there before. According to this idea, tomorrow does not exist yet because you are still busy helping to create it with your actions, thoughts, and choices today. Some scientists join this conversation by explaining that physics describes time in strange ways, where past, present, and future can behave very differently depending on how fast you move or where you are. These ideas make time feel less like a straight road and more like a flexible map that can stretch, bend, and confuse even the smartest grown-ups. From your everyday experience, however, the future usually feels like a mystery that keeps changing shape whenever you think about it. When you imagine what you will be like next year, your picture can change instantly if you learn something new, meet someone important, or suddenly discover you love a hobby you never cared about before. This makes the future feel less like a finished sculpture and more like a pile of clay waiting for your hands. Some philosophers say the future exists only as possibilities, which are like floating bubbles that can pop, merge, or grow depending on what you do. One bubble might be about who you become, another might be about what you learn, and another might be about choices you have not even noticed yet. When you make a decision, some bubbles disappear while others grow brighter, which makes the future slowly turn from maybe into now. This way of thinking helps explain why surprises still surprise us, even though we plan, predict, and imagine all the time. If the future were fully finished and fixed, surprises would feel fake, but they do not, because real life keeps catching us off guard. At the same time, the future does not feel completely empty either, because plans, hopes, and goals give it a faint shape. You can think of the future as a sketch made in pencil, where some lines are darker because of plans, but everything can still be erased or redrawn. This is why promises feel meaningful, dreams feel exciting, and worries feel heavy, even though none of them have technically happened yet. Your brain is very good at visiting the future in imagination, even while your body stays safely in the present. When you imagine success, failure, fun, or fear, your brain reacts almost as if those moments are real, which makes the future feel strangely close. Because of this, the future can affect how you feel right now, even if it does not fully exist yet. Some philosophers say this shows that the future is partly real in your mind, even if it is not fully real in the world. Others say this proves that humans are time travelers of thought, always jumping forward and backward while standing still. What almost everyone agrees on is that the present moment is where everything actually happens. No matter what the future may or may not be, it can only be reached through what you do now. Every choice you make acts like a tiny steering wheel, nudging the future slightly left or right. This means the future is not something that simply waits for you, but something that listens to you. Even small actions can quietly shape big outcomes, like tiny drops of water slowly carving a path through stone. Thinking this way can make the future feel less scary and more friendly. Instead of worrying about a future that might already be decided, you can focus on making thoughtful choices right now. You can imagine the future as a story that is being written sentence by sentence, where you help choose the direction, but not every detail. Some mentioned chapters may change, some characters may surprise you, and some plot twists may appear without warning. That does not mean the story is out of control, but that it is alive. So, has the future exist yet, fully formed and waiting, or does it slowly come into being as time moves forward? The most interesting answer might be that the future exists partly as imagination, partly as possibility, and partly as something you are still creating. And that means tomorrow is not just something that happens to you. It is something you quietly help bring into the world, one present moment at a time.